Top 10 Chinese EVs coming to destroy Canadian car market. 10 Chinese electric vehicles are coming to destroy the Canadian car market, and most Canadians have no idea they even exist. We're talking about cars with over 1,000 horsepower, ranges pushing past 600 miles, and technology so advanced that Porsche, BMW, and Mercedes are genuinely scrambling to keep up. One car on this list produces 1,300 horsepower more than a Bugatti Chiron. You heard that right. More power than a $2.5 million hypercar in a family sedan built in China. Starting at number 10, we have a Huawei-backed luxury SUV that sold over 200,000 units in its first year, and it's coming for the Range Rover's throat. 10. AITO M9. The AITO M9 is what happens when Huawei, the company that shook the entire smartphone industry, decides to build a luxury SUV. And the moment you see what it offers, you will understand why every luxury brand selling in Canada right now should be deeply afraid. You are looking at a full-size SUV stretching 5,230 millimeters, built on an 800-volt electrical architecture with 2 electric motors, pushing a combined 530 horsepower to all 4 wheels. Step on the accelerator, and you hit 60 miles per hour in 4.3 seconds. You get 392 miles of range from a 100 kilowatt-hour CATL battery, and when you need to charge, 10 to 80% takes under 30 minutes. But the specs alone don't prepare you for what sits on top of them. Pop open the hood on the technology, and things get genuinely unsettling for the competition. Huawei's ADS 3.0 autonomous driving system backs the M9 LiDARs, a network of cameras and radars so dense it can navigate complex urban roads without you touching the wheel. Inside, you get a triple-screen cockpit, a rear seat projector, a built-in refrigerator with heating and cooling, and Harmony OS 4, the same operating system running on Huawei's most advanced smartphones, now powering your entire dashboard. Then comes the number that should make every Range Rover and Cadillac dealer in Canada lose sleep. You can buy the AITO M9 for $65,000. A base Range Rover Sport will cost you over $90,000 in Canada. You heard that right. This thing undercuts a Range Rover by $25,000 while out-teching it on almost every single dimension. And it sold over 200,000 units in its first 12 months more than Porsche sold globally across its entire lineup last year. But if you think the M9 is bold, wait until you see what is sitting at number 9. Because this one doesn't just turn heads, it puts on a light show. 9. HiPhi Z. The HiPhi Z is not a car, it's a statement. Human Horizons built a 5-door shooting brake Grand Tourer 5,036 millimeters long, drag coefficient of 0.27 that looks like it was designed by a Hollywood special effects team and a supercar engineer locked in a room together. And the moment you lay eyes on it, you understand this is not a car trying to be European. This is China saying it doesn't need to copy anyone anymore. Under the skin, you get 2 electric motors, producing a combined 663 horsepower, launching you from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.8 seconds. Your range sits at 438 miles from a 120 kilowatt-hour CATL battery. And the rear-wheel steering gives you 13.5 degrees of adjustment, meaning this 2.5-ton machine responds beneath you like something half its size. But then the technology arrives, and this is where things get genuinely surreal. Every body panel around you is embedded with programmable matrix lighting that displays custom graphics and animations directly on the car's exterior surfaces. The taillights can flash a thumbs up to thank other drivers. The car can project a pedestrian crossing onto the road ahead of you. And at the center of your cabin sits a 15-inch screen on a robotic arm that physically rotates toward whoever is speaking. You heard that right. The screen tracks you, like a sunflower following the light. Behind you, a 23-speaker Meridian audio system fills every inch of the cabin. All of this starts at $83,000, roughly the same as a base Porsche Taycan. Except when you pull into a parking lot, the Taycan just sits there. The HiPhi Z performs. But the HiPhi Z, as wild as it is still just warming you up. Number 8 already has a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, sells in Europe today, and costs half the price of a Porsche, Taycan, Sport Turismo, and Canada is the one being left out. 8. Zeekr R001. Geely, the conglomerate that owns Volvo, Lotus, and Polestar, quietly built one of the most compelling electric vehicles on the planet, and they called it the Zeekr 001. What you are looking at is a shooting brake, the same rare desirable silhouette that Porsche charges over $120,000 for in the Panamera Sport Turismo. The Zeekr wears it just as well. It was designed in Sweden. It holds a full 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating, the same independent crash test standard every European automaker has to pass. And it sits on an 800-volt platform, the same high-voltage architecture beneath your Porsche Taycan and Audi e-tron GT. Canada isn't buying it yet, but Europe already is. But here is where the tension builds. Beneath that Swedish design body, you get 536 horsepower from a dual-motor all-wheel drive system, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3.8 seconds, and 466 miles of range from a 100 kilowatt-hour CATL Qilin battery. And when you need to charge, 5C ultra-fast charging takes you from 10 to 80% in just 11.5 minutes, adding nearly 300 miles of range in the time it takes you to grab a coffee. Then comes the number that should make Tesla and Porsche genuinely nervous. You can buy the Zeekr 001 for $37,000. A Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo starts at $123,000 in Canada. You heard that right. $86,000 separating two nearly identical silhouettes, with the Zeekr matching the Porsche on range and beating it on charging speed. Inside, you get a 15-inch 2.5K OLED screen, a 35.5-inch augmented reality heads-up display, Nappa leather, adaptive air suspension beneath you, and over 75 cubic feet of cargo space when you fold the rear seats more than most full-size SUVs. But this was just the beginning. Because number 7 is what happens when 3 of China's most powerful companies, an automaker, a tech giant, and the world's largest battery manufacturer combine forces to build a single car together. 7. Avatr 12. Chang'an, Huawei, CATL, 3 giants, 1 car. The result is the Avatr 12, and it might be the most dangerous value proposition on this entire list. What you are looking at is a Grand Coupe fastback stretching 5,020 millimeters, with hidden door handles, optional camera mirrors replacing the traditional side mirrors beside you, and a roofline so aggressive it draws comparisons to the Audi A7 and BMW 6 Series Grand Coupe, except this was engineered by a company that makes 5G chips and the world's most advanced batteries. And it shows. But here is where things start getting uncomfortable for the competition. The dual-motor version gives you 578 horsepower, launches you to 60 miles per hour in 3.9 seconds, and hands you 438 miles of range from a 116.8 kilowatt-hour CATL battery with 5C fast charging enough to cover the drive from Toronto to Montreal in under 15 minutes of charging. Stretch your eyes across the dashboard and you find a 35.5-inch full-width display, not a screen bolted onto a dash, but a single uninterrupted digital strip, replacing the entire instrument panel in one seamless sweep. Then came the most devastating part for legacy automakers. Huawei's Drive 1 powertrain and ADS 3.0 autonomous driving system power. Everything around you. The exact same technology stack sitting inside the AITO M9 we covered at number 10. Except you get all of it in a Grand Coupe body that costs you between $37,000 and $52,000. A BMW 5 Series Gran Turismo with comparable performance starts at over $80,000 in Canada. You heard that right, a more striking body, more advanced technology for less than half the price. And it sold over 56,000 units in China in a single year. That is not a niche product. That is a mainstream hit wearing a luxury suit. But the Avatr 12 is only the beginning of BYD's ambitions on this list, because number 6 is where BYD stops playing it safe and starts building something that makes a McLaren look ordinary. 6. BYD U7. Most Canadians know BYD as the company that outsells Tesla globally. But very few know what BYD builds when it decides to go flagship with no budget restrictions and nothing to prove. What you are looking at is a full-size luxury sedan stretching 5,265 millimeters with a drag coefficient of 0.195, more aerodynamically efficient than a Tesla Model S. You heard that right, more slippery through the air than Silicon Valley's most celebrated electric sedan. Four permanent magnet synchronous motors deliver 1,287 horsepower and 1,168 pound-feet of torque, one motor at each of your wheels. You hit 60 miles per hour in 2.9 seconds. Your top speed is 168 miles per hour, 447 miles of range. 500 kilowatt dual-gun charging recovers 310 miles in just 20 minutes. But then came the most devastating blow to every conventional suspension engineer on Earth. The DCS Z electromagnetic suspension beneath you replaces traditional shock absorbers entirely for electromagnetic actuators, reading the road 1,000 times per second, predicting every bump before your wheel makes contact. BYD says it rides smoother than a maglev train. Watch the videos of a full glass of water sitting perfectly still on the roof as it rolls over speed bumps at speed, and it is very hard to argue. BYD U700 adds 3 LiDARs, 13 cameras, and dual NVIDIA Orin X chips around you. The U7 tank turns 360 degrees on its own axis. It crab walks itself into a parking space. Sideways. Blow a tire at highway speed, and it drives on 3 wheels at 80 miles per hour until you reach safety. All of this is yours for $88,000, roughly half the price of a comparable Mercedes S-Class in Canada. Number 5 belongs to Nio, and Nio just delivered a piece of technology that BMW and Mercedes have been promising for years and still haven't managed to build. 5. Nio ET9. Nio built the ET9 to answer one question. What does China's version of the Mercedes S-Class look like when you remove every single compromise? What you are sitting in is a full-size luxury sedan, stretching 5,320 millimeters on a 3,250 millimeter wheelbase. 2 electric motors deliver 697 horsepower and launch you to 60 miles per hour in 4.3 seconds. You get 404 miles of range from a 100 kilowatt-hour CATL battery, and the entire electrical architecture beneath you runs on 925 volts higher than almost any production car on Earth, charging you from 30 to 80% in just 18 minutes. But then came the moment that stopped the entire automotive world in its tracks. The ET9 is the first production car in China to feature steer-by-wire technology, completely eliminating the mechanical connection between the steering wheel in your hands and the front wheels beneath you, replacing it entirely with electronic signals. BMW has been promising you this technology for years. Mercedes has been promising it for years. Nio just put it in a production car and started delivering it to customers. You heard that right. A Chinese startup beat 2 of the world's oldest and most celebrated automakers to one of the most significant steering innovations in automotive history. And it wasn't just the steering that was extraordinary. Inside, a 2,800-watt sound system with 35 speakers surrounds you. A panoramic display stretches the full width of your dashboard. And if your battery runs low, you don't charge it, you swap it. Nio's battery swap stations replace your entire pack in under 5 minutes, eliminating range anxiety in a way that no other automaker on Earth has managed to match. You get all of this for $109,000, positioned directly against the BMW 7 Series and Audi A8. Accept it out technologies, both of them, before you even sit down. But Nio's ET9, as extraordinary as it is still only number 5. Because the next 3 cars on this list belong to one company, and that company is BYD. And what is coming will make everything you have seen so far look like a warm-up act. 4. BYD Yangwang U7. You already met the U7 at number 6, but what you experienced there was just the base act. Because the Yangwang U7 PHEV variant contains a piece of engineering so audacious that even seasoned automotive journalists did a double-take when they first read the spec sheet. BYD fitted your car with a 2.0-liter 4-cylinder boxer engine, not to drive your wheels, but purely to generate electricity. The first 4-cylinder boxer engine ever used in a Chinese production car. Its flat horizontal design sits so low in the chassis, it allowed engineers to drop the hood line to supercar levels, giving you a silhouette so aggressive it barely looks like a sedan at all. The result is a combined range of over 620 miles, 1,287 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, and a top speed of 168 miles per hour, with the range extender eliminating every trace of anxiety on a long drive. The DCS Z suspension, triple LiDARs, dual Orin X chips, all still present, all still yours. And in the 4-seat version, dual 12.8-inch rear screens face you, a dual compressor refrigerator sits beside you, and the wheelbase stretches to 3,200 millimeters more rear legroom than a Rolls-Royce Ghost. You get all of this for $97,000. A Porsche Panamera Turbo S e-Hybrid starts at $240,000 in Canada. You heard that right. Less than half the price, more than double the performance. But BYD wasn't done. Because number 3 doesn't go faster or further. Number 3 does something no Mercedes, no Land Rover, and no G-Wagon on Earth can do, and it does it while wearing a 3-piece suit. 3. BYD Yangwang U8. Everything you have seen so far was built for the road. Number 3 was built for the apocalypse and then given a luxury interior anyway. You are sitting inside a machine, stretching 5,319 millimeters, weighing 7,632 pounds. Powered by 4 independent electric motors, fed by a 2.0-liter turbocharged generator, one motor at each of your wheels, producing 1,180 horsepower and 944 pound-feet of torque. You hit 60 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds. Your combined range stretches over 620 miles. But the numbers don't prepare you for what this car can actually do. The U8 spins 360 degrees on its own axis, using opposing wheel torque. It drives you sideways in a full crab walk, blow a tire at highway speed, and it carries you at 75 miles per hour on 3 wheels until you reach safety. 38 sensors, 3 LiDARs, 16 cameras, a thermographic night vision camera, and a satellite phone surround you at all times. And then the part that made the entire automotive world stop and stare. It floats. Drive it into a river, and it propels you back to shore for up to 30 minutes using its sealed electric motors. You heard that right. A production luxury SUV. You can drive into water and survive. Inside, Nappa leather wraps every surface. A 22-speaker Dyne audio system fills your cabin. A 12.8-inch display anchors your dashboard. You can own the Yangwang U8 for $125,000. A Mercedes G-Wagon starts at $170,000 in Canada, and it doesn't float, it doesn't tank turn, and it certainly doesn't produce over 1,000 horsepower. But number 2 doesn't belong to BYD at all. It belongs to a brand so steeped in national prestige that every time China's president appears in public, he arrives in one of their cars. 2. Hongqi H9. There is a car brand in China that has never needed to advertise, never needed to compete, never needed to prove itself to anyone. For decades, it has been the official state car of the People's Republic of China, carrying presidents and heads of state through Tiananmen Square on national holidays. That brand is Hongqi. It translates to red flag, and now it is going electric. What you are stepping into is a full-size luxury SUV, dual motors, 543 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, 317 miles of range, 7 seats across 3 rows. But the specs are almost beside the point, because what surrounds you inside a Hongqi is something no German or British manufacturer can replicate. The vertical chrome grille, the regal proportions, the presidential aura earned through decades of carrying the most powerful figures on Earth. These are not things you can engineer in Munich or crew. And now that weight, that history, is available to you. You can buy the Hongchi H9 for $105,000. A Rolls-Royce Cullinan starts at $470,000 in Canada. You heard that right, comparable prestige. 7 seats, less than a quarter of the price. But the H9 is still only number 2, because number 1 was built by Huawei, and Huawei didn't just build a luxury car. They built what may genuinely be the most technologically advanced production vehicle on the face of the earth. 1. Maextro S800. Everything on this list has been building to this moment. The floating SUV, the state limousine, the sedan with more power than a Bugatti. All of it was a warm-up act. Because Huawei and Jack Group asked a question no automaker had ever dared ask out loud. What if money was no object? Technology had no limits, and the only goal was to build the single most extraordinary production car ever conceived. The answer is the Maextro S800. 5,480 millimeters long, longer than a Rolls-Royce Ghost, a drag coefficient of 0.206, more aerodynamically efficient than a Porsche Taycan. And before you even reach the door, the car already knows you are there. Point at the door you want, and it opens. You heard that right. It reads your hand gesture from a distance and opens for you, like a butler who never takes a day off. The exterior surrounding you is unlike anything in production anywhere on Earth. 1,296 individual LEDs form the starry splendor headlights, pulsing like a living constellation. Fiber optic strands in the door handles project a constellation effect across your hand as you reach for them. At the rear, the nebula canvas taillights create a rolling Milky Way holographic animation every time you walk away. This is not a car that sits in a parking lot. This is a car that performs. Underneath, Huawei's Tooling Longsing platform, 5 years in development, pairs a 1.5-liter turbocharged generator with an 800-volt architecture capable of 6C DC charging, filling your battery from 10 to 80% in just 10.5 minutes. Your combined range stretches to 828 miles. 523 horsepower launches you to 60 miles per hour in 4.3 seconds. Inside, 4 lounge seats wrapped in semi-aniline leather sit beneath a starry sky fiber optic headliner, turning your roof into a private planetarium. Wave your hand across the rear glass and your windows tint instantly. Laser projectors throw the Maextro logo onto the road ahead as you drive at night. Step out and puddle lights roll a virtual red carpet beneath your feet, and Huawei's ADS 4.0, backed by a 192-line LiDAR, the most powerful fitted to any production car on Earth, gives you situational awareness that makes every other autonomous driving system on the market look like an early prototype. You can buy the Maextro S800 for $98,500. The Rolls-Royce Spectre. Fewer horsepower, shorter range, no gesture recognition, no holographic taillights. Autonomous driving, a full generation behind, starts at $520,000 in Canada. You heard that right, $520,000 versus $98,500. The most technologically advanced luxury sedan ever built, for less than a fifth of the price of a Rolls-Royce. Canada's tariff wall is buying time, but it is not buying forever. And when these 10 cars finally arrive, and they will arrive, nothing in the Canadian car market will ever be the same again.